today about creating AI culture in the enterprise. I've been a fan of this conference, and of course I'm one of the advisory members that have helped over the years to bring speakers to this conference. And what we're going to talk about today is creating an AI culture in the enterprise. Now, day to day, okay, I know I'm going to have to comment about the accents because I'm originally from California, but when I came to the South, you learn how to adapt. So sometimes I can slip into that Southern accent and talk about getting a piece of pie. And you know I'm fixing to go up to Big Chicken. I'm just saying. Do you want to? I came to Atlanta. I grew up in Southern California. I came to Atlanta to earn my doctorate at Georgia Tech, and my advisor had a very, very deep Southern accent. I came to appreciate that, and I appreciate here being in the South. And so I've lived here in Atlanta for years. I definitely believe in community and conferences. Have been involved in a lot of technical groups over the years, and has built my business. And also, even why I'm at Microsoft is I was giving a talk at a conference, and a hiring manager remembered me 4 years later, sent me an email in LinkedIn and said, "Are you interested in working for Microsoft?" And the next day we were already talking about salary ranges. So conferences are a great way to advance your career, period. And it is the visibility that's beyond just sitting behind the keyboard and delivering quality solutions to your customers. Now, of course, customer focus is my major role. And we did have a question here about getting AI started in the enterprise. It is about snack sizing that and being able to confidently, as the expert, right, the expert's going to be able to snack size it, give a vision of where it could go, and then scope the cost. And the cost can be substantial, but it also might be, less than they think. And I've had customers spend way less than they thought they would, and then some, are facing large bills because what they're doing is very advanced. Now, as far as going forward, I'll go ahead and use the deck that's already provided here. Why does an AI culture matter? Now, I'm at a point in my career that being further in the career and being what Microsoft wants from me is more about building the community and also even building the business processes within Microsoft. Day to day, I work in the U.S. Federal. The Navy is my major customer. And right now, I'm on contract with a team of about 7, 8 people. The 7 or 8 of us cover the Microsoft spectrum of technologies. And what we do is we help at a very high level in shaping the contracts, because our team is a technical team. There are people around us, there are business people that know about contracts and pricing and that type of thing, but we help on the technical details. We're not afraid to code. I open up, and even this morning, I was one of my colleagues, and we were bemoaning the Azure DevOps repo that we opened up, and he was complaining. He said, "I think a 5th grader wrote this." And I said, "Okay, that's just between us. We're not going to throw our team overboard. You got to realize later on when you get in your career, you deal with people who have less experience, and we're just going to bring up their level, okay? That's where we're there to inspire change. That's why culture matters. The success here isn't just about the tools. Guess what? The tools come and go. And we see this with open source. And the rapid change that we've seen in this industry is so rapid. And even I do sometimes advising with some students. I work with a team from Purdue University. They built a solution to tag 300,000 objects for the website from a major retailer, Meijer, in the Midwest. And this is for business school. And they did it in a way that's going to abstract what exact large language model they're using. Why? Because they already know it's going to be eclipsed in like 6 months. They're going to have to be able to do a little bit of plug and play. So, what does stay? What does stay is the people and the processes. And that is why I have these 3 words. I mean, if you think about tools, people, and processes, a lot of people are tool-oriented. I think we should be tool-oriented all day. I'm always learning new things. But the people that we work with are super important. And I think about the investment that we have in people. This is why also I volunteered my time to help with this conference series and even to come here today. And also what does remain too for an organization, if you are C-level leader, manager, director, what remains is your processes. Because again, your people may shift, or you may shift your people, but the processes remain the same. So, so what you leave behind are those people and processes. So the transformation requires not a cultural change, not just technical adoption, because you're not trying to get people to adopt this solution, particular solution. You're trying to think about why are we even chasing this in the first place. So the goal here is I'm going to give you a blueprint for a thriving production-oriented AI community. And I'm already showing here in this dashboard, and I know it's a little bit small maybe for some of you to see, but I joined Microsoft 9 years ago, and I became a subject matter expert in the area of machine learning. At the time, we had a mailing list where people would ask and answer questions. And so I would answer questions. And by the way, for those few years, and what I'm about to tell you is not going to surprise anyone here. About 80% of the answers I gave was how to install a Python package in some environment, literally. And sometimes, and the more advanced questions were how to install a collection of Python packages, because they go together, because sometimes people will have a set and then they bring in a new one and they say, why doesn't this work? Okay, the last 20%, we would get into other questions. But, I became a subject matter expert maybe in Python. But about 4 years ago, in this Q&A, and again, this is before Gen AI, we had a problem, and our problem was we had a lot of questions and answers, and I asked the question, is it possible for us to develop a searchable database of all the questions and answers that we've had in this group over time to make the information more accessible? So we put it up as a hackathon challenge, and we only got like 8 teams responding, and none of them addressed the challenge. And what I'm describing right now, this is before the age of RAG. Today, a lot of people would say, oh, I've got a RAG for that. Well, actually, the problem we were chasing now has been solved a different way. Anyway, but that did give me some visibility, and right now I'm one of 4 leads, and this is an internal, no-budget, volunteer community, internal to Microsoft. And what we do, now we do have funded programs, right? But this is what the employees self-organize on their own. And we back it up with SharePoint. We back it up with a Viva Engage, and that used to be Yammer. That's a Q&A. And we also host things on Microsoft Teams. 4 years ago, we had about 10,000 people. Today, we have 22,000. Why did it grow that big? A lot of it was ChatGPT. And again, I think these slides are going to be made available to you later. You're welcome to have them. If you can't find where to find them, just send me a request on LinkedIn, and I will get these slides to you. And the bottom right shows kind of the distribution of our community. We probably have just over 25% work in software engineering, and then we have a good deal of them work in the solution architect area, which is where I am, customer-facing. But we have people from all areas of Microsoft. And then there's a little map on the bottom that shows the distribution of where our members are. Yes, a lot of them are in the United States, but then we have a good representation in EMEA, which is Europe, and Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and then on the other side with Asia and the Pacific region. So we have an active community. Last year we produced 67 community calls. We have internal conferences. We have a global hackathon. Now, 2 of the things that I've continued to stay with, that first year, we only had 8 teams. Last year, we had a challenge, AI using Azure OpenAI. We had 1,000 teams that joined that challenge. And by the way, for them to be judged, they had to meet certain criteria. They had to actually build something. So we had 365 teams that built, and our average team size was 6 people, so we know we probably engaged like 6,000 people last year with Global Hackathon. We're going to do it again in the fall. And this ramped up again from 8 teams. What we are trying to figure out, me and my co-leads, how can we do this with minimum amount of effort? We have no budget, and we have to use a lot of automation behind the scenes to be able to make things happen, because obviously we have day jobs, and we want to make this also an enjoyable experience for the people who are part of the community. What I get to do inside the community, along with the other leads, is curate the type of events that we do. What speakers do we take? What events do we host? We are hosting the second year of an event I initiated called 24 by AI. It's going to be later this month. For those of you who are even, some of you who are Microsoft vendors, you'll be able to be part of that event if you are inside the Microsoft community. So, but we do this with a team. We got 4 leads, 50 engagement leads. These are people running different events, and then 21 subject matter experts. So altogether, about 30 people organizing it. All right. So this is a cross-functional team. We did make an attempt early on to try to make personas of who's attending our group. Do we have a data scientist and an AI engineer? And you know what? I think we've given up on that. It is too diverse. The world is diverse. And we've leaned into that diversity now, even with 24 by AI, in having regional teams organize that 24-hour event. So we're going to have 3 different teams that organize 8 sessions each, starting with Asia, and then it's going to come to the US. And we embrace that. Create forums, we make user groups, we have AI champions. The 3 technologies we're using in our case are SharePoint, Viva Engage, and Microsoft Teams. And we have, quote unquote, broken all of them. And we broke Teams because our community calls have drifted over 1,000 people. And when you get over 1,000 people in a Teams call, weird things begin to happen. I'm not going to describe them today, because in the same way I'm not going to describe my Python package resolution from earlier. I've lately become an expert in SharePoint. As I was expressing to someone in the hall, SharePoint is an interesting beast because it's got a nested security structure. And that means that, assets just don't come over like a database. Anyway, so we got these global hackathons and regional events. I think this is very doable. By the way, because I do work with large customers like the Navy, this is what I want them to do. I want them to make their own community. You can only get so much support through direct contract and working directly with a vendor. You have to figure out a way to do that internally. And we're not early to that message because internal to Navy, they do have their own communities that meet on topics like ML and AI. Okay, so they're already self-organized to do that. I've seen that also at other organizations. If you're working with a major organization, you definitely want to encourage them to do this. Okay, I'm going to go to number 2, providing hands-on education and mentorship. So we have tiered learning. Right now, there's a lot of free things in Microsoft Learn. There's things that you're not going to learn from Microsoft Learn. Microsoft Learn has the ingredients, the different technologies, the tools out there. They don't have a lot of what I call the recipes. What happens when you have to shuffle everything together? And you have to put a security layer on top of AI Foundry, and then you might build something in Azure Machine Learning and then use it with Synapse Analytics. Okay, all that together is what we're thinking about in our combination presentations. So specifically, that does mean hands-on labs. We were very shocked. One of the times we broke Teams, we said, instead of doing a 1-hour call, let's do a 3-hour lab, a 3-hour walkthrough demo and hands-on lab on agents. And that broke Teams. And some people who had registered for the event couldn't even get on there. We were shocked that people would take 3 hours of their regular day to do a 3-hour thing on agents. So I think there's definitely a thirst for it even at Microsoft, and we're probably going to do tuning and other things that come on board. Typically, though, we do 1-hour calls. Okay, the mentorship and knowledge sharing that happens through the Q&A forums that I was talking about. We do like to have live calls. I like to have the ability for people to ask the author. Sometimes we have the software producers come and talk about the technology that they built. Those are super helpful. Let's see, how did I get? Let's see. I don't know how I went forward, but I'm just gonna go forward. Okay, so number 3 here is aligning the community with real AI production. A big focus of what we do is not to just be theoretical. So we do want to hear stories and share those things that are actual problems that people have and create a welcoming community where people can ask very basic questions. And I know we all laughed earlier about the Python. Believe me, I do not shame people. in public, no. Now, if I get to know them later, right, and if we're sitting at the bar after, talking to a customer, I might rib them a little bit about how come they couldn't understand Python package installation, but I do not do that in public because don't do that. Okay, so anyway, connect questions and topics with the customer solutions. Second thing there, supporting operationalization with infrastructure and guidance. A lot of what I do now, even though I have considered myself a data scientist, is security and infrastructure. And especially working with the Navy, we have to typically put things behind a virtual network and private endpoints. So I've become more versed in that language and also in the language of authentication and authorization and security and everything. And by the way, as many of you probably already realize, the memo's getting out. We're moving away from a world of passwords. We're moving into a world of multi-factor authentication and managed identities and role-based access control. And I still even have customers asking me, they want to run things through passwords. And a lot of the demos you'll see for AI still using passwords. If you're making a demo, make a demo that doesn't require that, at least not for production, okay? For a demo, it's okay. Celebrate the successes. We share the metrics and success stories. One thing that we do, and by the way, for that global hackathon where we had 365 projects, I used AI throughout the whole process. I used AI to give me the right wording on a letter, to talk judges into giving 3 and 4 hours of their time to even be a judge. And I discovered AI has a much brighter and more positive tone than I do naturally. Okay, that's a learning point. I am not going to change my style of writing, but for that purpose and that message, I needed to have 200 judges. Why? Because we wanted our projects to be seen by a respectable number of people. In our case, it was 7. Every project that was entered was seen by 7 judges. And in the end, we had a very robust result, and we're very confident that, when we do these hackathons, that you get a good result. And also, too, when I work with our volunteers, we have a way to say thank you, and we send thank you messages, and we send it to their manager, and we give them an impact statement, like for this global hackathon. You were one of the 200 judges that judged 365 projects that had this type of impact, and that makes people very happy and want to volunteer more time back. Okay, so that we're trading what they want. Okay, and then inspiring your hackathon winners. Okay, and that's what we, with our winners, also they know that they won through a very metered process. So this is speaking just about hackathon, but we also do that same thing with our speakers who volunteer talks. Okay, let me move forward. Okay, I think so putting it all together. All right, so building community across roles and regions. The question, you have to ask this with other people who are similarly minded in your organization. Again, I'm very interested in doing this with customers because I think in the long term, this is what, will build things. You upskill intentionally and align those efforts with the real world. Okay, there's a call to action here, but I will take any question we have, and I think I may have 1 minute to take one question. Yes, sir, I see you in the front. You'll have to speak in the microphone.
What can entry-level data scientists do to survive the impact of Gen AI?
What can a data scientist do to...
Entry-level data scientists do to survive from the impact of Gen AI?
Okay, so you're saying an entry-level data scientist can do to I didn't get the...
Survive.
Survive?
Survive this Gen AI wave.
Oh, I hope you're not surviving. I hope you're thriving. Okay, I think AI's, unless you are a company like OpenAI, which I am not, okay, Microsoft obviously supports that. Your survival is really about solutions and thinking what customer impact do you have? And I'm going to selfishly say, go to the Microsoft story and look at how we are telling, like the executives, how are they telling the stories of what the impact is of AI? Really keep super focused on what that mission is. For me, when I think about the Navy, I want to be very specific, because Navy has very many parts. What is it that they specifically are doing? What difference will this make in their future? So I think, again, that's more of a, to me, that's the general solution. By the way, feel free to connect with me later and ask a follow-up question on LinkedIn. And if I didn't answer your question today, I'd be happy to talk to you on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very open to that. Thank you for the chance to bring my message today.
Thank you so very much.